Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
The Flames have not won a game in the year 2026. That's how I'm going to talk about this game. Welcome to Game Over Calgary. My name's Conrad Krausert, and boy, if you didn't watch me crash out over on Game Over Montreal stream last night, be prepared here, folks, because this is probably the worst stretch of Calgary Flames hockey that I personally can remember since the Young Guns era. When our stars were Valerie Bure, Therian Fleury before he got shipped out of town, and a young upstart Jerome McGinley. It's bleak, folks. It is incredibly bleak for a game that I wrote notes on because I was hoping, beyond hope, that the Calgary Flames would somehow have a bounce back game to at least be competitive. But no, we haven't seen one of those yet in the Big 2-6. Final score 4-1. And you run your star goaltender into the ground because you don't decide to call up a young goaltender out of the Wranglers. Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? Like, this is back to the start of the season Calgary Flames stuff we're seeing here, folks. And, like, nobody wants to be there. As I've told you numerous times, like, I want to see this Calgary Flames team put in good efforts and lose close games. And maybe that's what we saw January 3rd. But, boy, since then, this has been uninspiring Calgary Flames hockey. I didn't talk about this on the stream last night with Andrew, but I went to the game on Monday, January 5th, against the Kraken. I was in attendance while Anand was hosting the post-game show here. And, God, I wasn't watching the Flames to watch the Calgary Flames team that I love. I was watching that game to encourage the young gentleman who is in front of me, hoping that he would hit his shots on goal and saves parlay. That is the state of a diehard Calgary Flames fan, folks. I didn't care how the Flames were playing. I cared that Dustin Wolf stopped 25 shots so that man could win $300. Because I sure as fuck wasn't watching the Calgary Flames. And I apologize. This is going to have some language, folks. Because I am so frustrated. And I hope you are too. Because in a game that was Igor Sharangovich's 400th game, ensnaring him as only the third Belarusian player to hit that milestone, the Calgary Flames were uninterested in playing the sport of hockey. From top to bottom, outside of the guy they're running into the ground between the pipes. And hey, maybe Connor Zary, who showed a flash of brilliance that we haven't seen in quite a while from the man wearing 47. But let's go into the recap, shall we? And while I head into this recap, I know we don't have many people here in chat, but hey, go hit like, go share this out on social media if you don't mind. Maybe don't do it on X, the Everything app, because it seems that's full of fascists at this point. But throw it up on your, hell, even throw it on Meta. I don't care at this point. Try and get some more friends over here. And Matt, see, that's, I don't know what's worse. I don't know if it's worse for me to be angry or to have the apathy to be disappointed. Because to be in here watching this, or if you're over on, for all of our friends that have decided to go watch Barn Burner, like, it's beyond unbelievable. for one of the most passionate fan bases in this country watching this game, for it to just be disappointment, like it's a sad state of affairs. But let's get into the recap. And of course, before we even go into that, this was not supposed to be a Dustin Wolf start. This was supposed to be a start for Devin Cooley, but Devin Cooley is too sick to play hockey, apparently. You know what you have in that case? You have Owen Say waiting in the AHL and an injured reserve for a reason. We'll get into that later. But Dustin Wolf thrown into the second time this season he's playing in back-to-backs. Dustin Wolf's 35th game of the goddamn year. He has started the most out of any goaltender in the NHL. Your goaltender who's in his second year in the NHL, first as a starter, who is being rubbed into the ground like a used cigarette. Your superstar. But I digress. Took only 10 minutes for the Boston Bruins to take advantage of this tired Calgary Flames team, as a really, really bad line change leads to Sean Corrali not being picked up, and he scores. Charlie McAvoy gets a second assist as he's injured heading off the ice. Tyson Janot with the pass back, and a Dustin Wolf who is obviously exhausted lets that one pass. 1-0. But it doesn't stop there. And I say I don't love talking about bets and gambling on this show, because I don't. But boy oh boy should I put money on Elias Lindholm, who has had a very, very subpar year for the Bruins, to score in this one. Because gets chipped around Yan Kuznetsov, Pasternak skates onto it, and that was Kuznetsov, who then drops it back to Pasta, and Elias Lindholm is essentially all alone in the back door. I don't like hammering on Mackenzie Weegar because everybody knows he's had a terrible year. He gets caught in no man's land once again. But Nazem Kadri, holy shit, buddy, do you not want to play hockey? Doesn't back check. He's gliding from the opponent blue line. Doesn't get back to cover Elias Lindholm. Like, what's going on here? 2-0. Elias Lindholm his 8th goal of the year, by the way, and Sean Crowley only his 4th. But it doesn't stop there. Mason Lohrei is probably the beneficiary of one of the easiest goals he'll ever score in the NHL, as he absolutely toe drags Adam Klapka. Klapka probably outside of the state of... Ugh. And with Kevin Ball, who can't just ice the puck or get it off the boards. Calamity of errors there. 3-0 Bruins. Anand, we'll talk about that later, buddy. Oh, trust me, we'll talk about that later. Lorai's 4th goal of the year assists to Crowley and Janot, who were the guys who dug it off the boards. Then, God damn it, do I hate Joel Hanley. He has been terrible over the last, let's call it 12 games. And yes, this is a third pairing defenseman. I'm not expecting the sun, the moon, and the stars. I'm expecting NHL level defending. He gets completely outmuscled by Casey Middlestat, as does the captain. And like, oh my God. Assist to Arvidsson and Zacha. Like, I get it. That's a tough line out there. Hunter Rustevich doesn't get to Zacha quick enough. But Michael, like, what are you here for? Are you here to, you and Frida, to donate to charity? Which, hey, yeah, love it. Love what you do for the community. Certainly wasn't back-checking there on Casey Middlestat. Your one job as a Calgary Flame is to be a defensive center, and you can't do that. And I've heard contrary to that, Matt C. I heard he was injured. He went to the room twice today. So, but yeah, we'll talk about that as well in the second period. But then the one bright spark for the Calgary Flames is this one goal by Conrad Krausert. The shot from the line gets tipped, and Conrad Krausert does it all himself. Dances out of the corner, fakes the pass, draws the defender to go cover. I think it was Kevin Ball at the point there. No, it was Rasmus that was kind of pinching in, that he fakes the pass to him and just roofs the shot over the shoulder of the Bruins' backup goaltender, Jonas Korpisalo. And hey, at least we got a goal. At least we didn't get shut out. But let's be real. Since the Flames won that game 5-1 December 31st, the Calgary Flames have scored a grand total of 6 goals across 4 games. That is not going to win you games in the NHL. Like, and if we count out the Preds game, that's a goal a game. And unless we are starting a tandem of Martin Brodeur back in the mid-90s, early 2000s, and Dominic Hasek, we are not going to win games 1-0. Hell, we're probably not going to win games 2-1, because we've seen what this Calgary Flames defense is. Rasmus is having a great year offensively. Defensively, Him and Kevin Ball, Kuznetsov and Uyghur. Uyghur's been better since Kuznetsov's been on his side, but that's not setting a very high bar. You're laying the equestrian jump right on the ground so the horse can walk over it. And then this game against the Bruins, you score a pity goal at the end to not allow the backup goaltender of the day to get a shutout. Ooh, boy. And I'm going to do a quick search here about Coleman as we head in to our second period. But let's head into period number 2 as I do my little search here on social media. And as I do, again, please hit like, hit share, because the algorithm is a thing. And as much as I despise the fact that it's probably a robot that's deciding where this live stream gets shared, it is the reality. And I know it's an early game, so people are probably just going to go have dinner and not necessarily join us. But I'd love if you go hit share and put this up anywhere. I won't judge you too much. Maybe I will. I'm pretty good at that. But like, let's get into this. My whole point for this second period is, oh my God, is Calgary's management inept? Like, I don't know if this is all to be put on anyone's plate. But like, let's start this as I started to talk about this game. This was supposed to be a Devin Cooley start. But Devin Cooley has been sick. And it's not like he just got sick overnight or on the flight to Montreal. We've known he's been sick for quite some time. Again, he was supposed to get that game January 5th against the Kraken. He is too sick. You have to literally make an emergency recall that day to have Owen say is your backup then. Maybe that's when you should have said, hey, we've got this injured reserve thing. We're going to use that. We're going to take advantage of the fact that we are allowed to put somebody on there. And, you know, let's just make sure we have a backup goaltender so that we're not running Dustin Wolf into the ground. Hey, Tokay, thanks for joining, by the way. And Anand, as I said hi earlier, thank you. But, like, Owen Say's been doing good in the dub with the Wranglers. Or not the dub. Oh, the AHL. Like, why not give him the 6 days of NHL pay and have a goaltender that you can actually put in net to start, some back-to-backs after you have that travel across North America. And then, of course, it's a back-to-back with travel between Montreal and Boston. And then, hey, you get a couple days off, or you get 1 day off, and it's going to have to be a day off. It's not a practice day. Go take on the Penguins on Saturday. And as Anand said, the Wranglers don't play until Saturday. So let's say, in theory, you call up Owen Say for 3 days. You send him home on a WestJet flight with no legroom tonight so that he's back in town for Saturday. This is something the Calgary Flames could have done, but the management is too inept. Talked about William Stromgren, a rookie who played 8 minutes, drew 2 penalties, was a -1, but somehow gets benched in the middle of the second period against a Montreal Canadiens team where you need to be able to roll 4 lines. Didn't do that very well, did you? And Ryan Huska can say, oh, he needs to play faster. All he likes. This was the dude's first NHL hockey game. Like, holy smokes. Yeah, of course he's hesitant. He's jumping up a level. He's a young player. Do I need to type in as many times on ChatGPT? Your AHL rookies aren't going to be NHL regulars the first game they play. Just so that can get to Ryan Huska's GPT message? Like, do I need to public source that in to the large language model? I can do it if that's what we need to do. And then we'll talk about the injury, obviously, or what I think is an injury. Eric Francis seems to think that as well. But Blake Coleman leaves twice today. And so, in that, if Blake Coleman is hurt, we have heard nothing but the fact that the Dallas Stars are very interested in Blake Coleman. That Vegas was starting to take a look at him. Now, if he's hurt, that takes everything for your number 2 trade chip off the table. I've said it since the beginning of this goddamn year. We have an ownership group that is full of people who have real good asset management, or they wouldn't be owners of an NHL hockey team. But yet you are letting Ryan Huska absolutely decimate the confidence of every single young player who's gotten the call up. And that is absolutely shocking, because you got to think his previous job was the head coach in the AHL. Not that the other guy that you wanted to hire is kind of persona non grata right now. We're not going to mention that. But gee, it's really starting to feel like changes need to come. And that's going to be the topic of our third period here. So let's head into period number 3. Changes need to come. And then there will, if we had anyone here in chat that was a true Huska believer, which we don't get any of those here, they'd probably be shouting, oh, but he's been changing the lines. That's the big change. How much of that has changed how this Calgary Flames unit is playing? Oh, but Adam Klapka's on the top line. Cool. How long did that last? 40 minutes. Oh, we're going to put Joel Farabee back up on the top line. Yeah, sure. That worked real well tonight, didn't it? Oh, it's just because Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau can't work together. Sure. Then change it. Put it back. We'll go back to what wasn't working before. Oh, but we can't trade our players before the trade deadline. Their value could go to the moon. We aren't going to trade them anyways because, God damn it, Murray Edwards and Maloney love this core. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, people. We are rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at this point. And hey, there are people that want Rasmus Andersson, that want Blake Coleman, that want Nazem Kadri. But those changes are hard. Because as Nazem Kadri said to Dreger, he's open to a trade, but it has to be to a contender. Sure. What contenders have the assets that the Calgary Flames need to rebuild? There's very few of them. So that trade's going to handcuff you because Naz only wants to go to a certain number of teams. And there's only a certain number of teams that are going to have the cap space to either re-sign for Rasmus Andersson or have that desire to re-sign Rasmus Andersson. Hey, maybe that number is 2 because it sounds like that's Dallas and it sounds like that's Vegas. And then how many guys are going to want an aging Blake Coleman? Are any of those teams going to have the assets that actually allow this team to move up through the draft? I don't know. I can tell you the easiest change to make. I think Matt C is going to agree with me in chat. And I think people who watch this tomorrow, they might agree with me. The easiest change to make is a guy they just signed to a 2-year contract extension because this team was playing way above its head last year. And whose kid's starting to play at games for the Red Deer Rebels in the WHL. Hey, Ryan, I think you might have some more time to go watch your son because I think that the easiest change and the change that needs to be made is behind the bench. And hey, my dad's question was to me when I've talked about this with him is, then who's going to coach the team? Well, you got a couple of guys in either that are on the bench now that are in the system that definitely could fill that role. You brought on Dave Lowry for a reason. He's worked as an interim coach for a while. And we do have an update here from head coach Ryan Huska. He's probably just a little bit sore, not anything we wanted to push at that time. Hey, maybe that's the first smart decision that Ryan Huska has made, as Blake Coleman needs to be out the door with his gear ASAP if he's banged up. Hey, you've got Martin Jelena, who's a personal development coach or something with the team. I would take him as an interim at right now. And maybe it is you have to go to Marty. Because Marty is, from everything that I've heard, is that feel-good guy for a lot of the team, or the members of this team in the locker room. Because boy howdy, it's got to be awful. As I'm sure we're not the only ones that are feeling this kind of way. I'm sure there's a lot of competitive guys in this hockey team that are all kinds of angry. Maybe you just need to say, hey, let's go get the guy that makes these guys feel good about themselves and allows them to play, maybe fun hockey for the next 3 months of this season, for the second half. Isn't the worst idea I've ever had, I don't think. Matt, we'll go into that when we hit overtime, because I think that's a good point. And you know what? I don't really want to keep yelling for all that much longer. Because, hey, it's only 8 at night. I have lots of other things I can do. I'm sure there's lots of things you guys would rather do than think about this terrible 4-1 loss to the Boston Bruins. So we'll take Matt C's comment here now. When a coach is under pressure, they will resort to playing the older guys and stick with what has worked for them in the past. You are completely right. We have seen comments from people working at the team or at the network that gets to cover the NHL and distribute it in this province. Talk about how the only line they haven't screwed around with is the line of the two veterans in Coleman, Backlund, and then they got Matt Coronado out there. Why is that the only indestructible thing in this lineup? Like, I understand Michael Backlund's security blanket is Blake Coleman. And hey, those are guys that can go and play in the defensive zone. You got 9 other guys that need to have a fire lit under them. Maybe it's time to break out the Backlund blanket and shove it on another line. Maybe it's time to throw, I don't know, Matt Coronado onto that top line and say, hey, Jonathan, I know last time we made you play on your off wing, your agent was off getting big mad on X about it. But you're going to have to kind of pick up the $10 million contract off the ground and start producing if we want to put you back in your natural position. Because why would we play you in your natural position when we have others who are actually good at, doing it? I don't know. Like, I almost feel that this road trip has to be the end of Ryan Huska. Let him get through the road trip, but maybe on the plane ride home you tell him just don't stay around the team members all that long after we deplane, because that might be the end of it. We were on the same guys who aren't good enough as is, won't magically make us good enough. I agree. Huska's public statements about younger players makes me very concerned about him leading any sort of developing team. 100%. As I said on the Game Over Montreal stream that was on last night with Anand, I just hope we can get to the off season and the person that people have been kind of rumoring about, that's a former Calgary Flame that's coaching in the state of Michigan. I just hope he can come into this team and it's a system that works. Because Ryan Huska's system is not. But hey, I think I've said everything that I think most fans will feel about that game. And this road trip does not get any darn easier as the Flames head into Pittsburgh on the 10th. I hopefully Anand's able to do that game, because I totally forgot we had that game, and I had my Christmas with my partner's mom that day, so hopefully Anand can do it. If not, we'll skip that one here on Game Over Flames, and we'll be back for the Tuesday, January 3rd, where the Calgary Flames take on the Columbus Blue Jackets in a game that I'm sure I will be crying about multiple times. And they close up the road trip on Thursday, January 15th, as they take on the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's see when the Calgary Flames manage to get a win in the year 2026, shall we?